Hey guys, welcome to video 3 in Super Bad Movie Month, where the next 4 movies got a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. It was going to be the third House Party movie, which I have never seen, but apparently it's pretty bad. Which sucks, because the first one's really good. But that wasn't on instant Netflix. And I only have like $3, so Amazon wasn't gonna happen. So anyways, we're gonna look at Children of the Corn 666 colon Isaac's Return. Okay. This is the 6th film in the Children of the Corn series. It is the 4th film to be direct to video. If only 2 made it to theaters, maybe we have a problem. And it's also most famous for being the return to the series of John Franklin, who played Isaac in the first film, I do believe. Yep, he did play Isaac. I'm gonna predicate this by saying I don't like the first movie. I could see why people, when it came out, liked it, and I can see why people in 2012 like it. But I think a lot of my not liking it is because I didn't see it till I was an adult. So, a lot of the scare was wasted because I'm not 6. So, anyways, okay. Basically, in this movie, we find out that Isaac was not killed by he who walks behind the rose, but instead went into a coma. And there we go. That's really the plot of our movie. So, okay, whatever. Let's do it. So, our main character is Hannah Martin, who to my knowledge has never been in any of the other films, but like I've said, I've only seen the first one. She is heading to Gatlin because that's where her birth mother's from. And on the way, she meets a preacher named Zachariah Johnson. That's really it so far. Except the preacher just vanishes. After telling Hannah that she really has no, say in whether or not she has kids. Specifically a boy, and specifically a boy named Samuel. Because in the Bible, Hannah was barren, and the Lord gave her a son, and Hannah named him Samuel. And Samuel had, like, the power of visions, and so he became a great prophet. It's actually a really neat story. If you want to read it, it's in 1 Samuel. Anyway, she ends up in a cornfield. So we're 12 minutes into the film, and basically everything that's happened, I've already told you about. So this movie starts off really boring. Okay. So, I guess now, let's see, it's still about 12 minutes in. We have our first little bit of action, if you want to call it that. Basically, Hannah ends up in the hospital because when she ended up in the field, her car wrecked. And she bumped her head on the steering wheel. And the cop that sees her wants to have her checked out, just in case. Makes sense. While she's there, she ends up meeting one of the psychiatric patients who chases her down the hallway and informs her that she's the only one that can stop Isaac. Okay. Sure, we knew that from the beginning. Might not have said it, but generally your first character that's introduced is gonna be the quote-unquote chosen one. Okay. Even for being the 6th movie in a franchise, I really don't think that this movie is that bad. Yes, it has its problems, as any 6th movie would. But it's more boring than anything. So, yeah, I mean, so far, the writing is... It's not great, but it could be a lot worse. And the acting is... It's not great, but it could be a lot worse. So... Anyways, it's boring. And I have a feeling it's not gonna pick up, so... Okay. And just as an FYI, we also find out that this movie takes place 19 years after the first movie. Sure. Alright, so we kind of segue back to our original plot, which is Hannah finding her birth mother, who gave her up for adoption 19 years ago, prior to the movie starting. And a while back, she met Gabriel, who I haven't mentioned because his only purpose in the movie is to look cute. And so Gabriel and Hannah, while Hannah was in the hospital for the head wound from the beginning of the movie, look in some records and find out that Hannah's mother had given birth to a baby girl, but it was a stillborn. And there's no record of Hannah's mother ever giving birth twice, so the sibling theory goes out the window. So, and then Hannah goes into her motel room, and Get Out or Die is written in what looks like blood, but is actually nail polish, on her shower door. And Hannah assumes it to be the mother, because who else would it be? It's not like Isaac came back from the dead. And as I mentioned earlier, this movie is not picking up any at all. This movie is so slow, we don't even have our first death until 41 minutes in. Which normally I wouldn't complain about, except it's the Children of the Corn franchise. Anyways, it's just a doctor, but he was the doctor that helped Hannah's mom give Hannah up. So Isaac doesn't like him. Well, aside from this movie being boring, we also reach our first WTF moment. Prior to falling into the coma, Isaac had a son, whose name isn't given, but I'm gonna assume it's probably one of the 12 brothers that Jacob had. Yeah. So, in order to fulfill the prophecy, Samuel must live. Which, if we remember from the beginning of the movie, Samuel is Hannah's child, but it's not born yet. Isaac wants his kid to have sex with Hannah, to give birth to Samuel, to lead them all the way. And while they're at it, they can just drink Kool-Aid too. So with no explanation, Hannah digs up the baby. Don't you need like a warrant to do that? I mean, and have a purpose?